Since the tragic events of October 7th, Netanyahu and the Israeli government have been acting unhinged and belligerent, attacking every and anything in sight, including killing three escaped Israeli hostages who were naked and waving a white flag asking for help, the killing of seven aid workers of the World Central Kitchen, and the targeting and killing of two Catholic nuns by IDF snipers in a church in Gaza where many Christian families were taking refuge. All these done without regard for life, the rule of law, and against international law. The IDF's campaign in Gaza has caused such destruction that it's breaking so many war records. More journalists, 107 of them as of May 2024, have been killed in Gaza, more than were killed in all of World War II, arguably humanity's deadliest conflict, in which 69 journalists were killed in total. More children have been killed in Gaza in 4 months than the number of children killed in global conflict in 4 years between 2019 and 2022. Now, despite these unflattering statistics, Israel has disregarded the order of the ICJ to refrain from commencing a military operation in Rafah. Israel's foreign minister has gone so far as to threaten Spain, Ireland, and Norway of severe consequences for recognizing a Palestinian state. Now, following the announcement of the ICC to issue a warrant for the arrest of some Israeli leaders, including Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel has threatened the ICC and its personnel with sanctions, and like a true mafia boss, Netanyahu has in no small way warned the head of the ICC to, in effect, watch his back. For a small country of less than 10 million people, like half the population of the city I currently live in, Israel is acting like it can take on the world. It's acting like it's accountable to no one. Now, there's only one other country that I know of that has acted in such a unilateral manner without regard for international law and has gotten away with it, and that is the United States. But Israel isn't the United States, so why is it acting like it is? Except maybe Israel is the United States and Netanyahu is the king of the United States. Remember when I said Israel threatened the ICC with sanctions for issuing an arrest warrant for Netanyahu? Well, that was actually the US.
America should punish the ICC and put Karim Khan back in his place.
The US threatened to sanction an international body of arbitration on behalf of the state of Israel. How insane is that? The US is essentially passing a vote of no confidence on the ICC, ICJ, and other international bodies. What the US is in effect saying is that international law doesn't matter. Countries shouldn't respect the rulings of the ICC and ICJ. But in 2023, US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said, "What separates Israel and United States of America from Hamas is our respect for international law."
And of course, what separates Israel, the United States, and other democracies when it comes to incredibly difficult situations like this is our respect for international law and, as appropriate, the laws of war. We know that Israel will take all of the precautions that it can, just as we would. And again, that's what separates us from Hamas.
Now, in 2024, US House Speaker, in a statement confirming that the US and Israel are just like Hamas, said, "The US should punish the ICC because we don't put any international body above our sovereignty."
There is a reason that we've never endorsed the International Criminal Court, because it is a direct affront to our own sovereignty. We don't put any international body among or above American sovereignty, and Israel doesn't do that either. Congress is reviewing all of our options right now. We have some very aggressive legislation that we're going to push as quickly as possible. It will impose sanctions. And if the ICC moves forward with its absurd warrant arrest or request, this is going to be an even bigger international problem.
US is willing to throw out the rules-based international system they have been championing for years and replace it with one of might is right, all because of Israel. At least the US used to pretend to care about international law, but now they've gone full mask off. What right does the US have to sanction Russia for its flouting of international law by invading Ukraine? None whatsoever. None. US politicians have been falling over themselves trying to best each other in proving who is more loyal to Israel by passing legislation after legislation within the US for Israel, like Texas Governor Executive Order on Anti-Semitism or the bill introduced by US reps from Pennsylvania and Ohio extending taxpayer benefits to Americans serving in the IDF. In a move that amounts to cutting one's nose to spite one's face, the US House of Representatives has sponsored a bill that will slash budgets for the offices of the Defense Secretary, Secretary of State, and National Security Council if Biden doesn't deliver the stored heavy bombs to Israel. It also includes language that will condemn the Biden's administration's decision to pause certain arms transfer to Israel. Imagine the legislative branch of a country threatening the executive branch of the same country and putting the security of that country at risk because the executive branch took an action against a foreign nation. On face value, this doesn't make sense. The US is way more powerful and influential than Israel to be doing Israel's bidding against its own interests. Except maybe it's not. Except maybe Israel actually has more leverage than the United States.
במיוחד היום עם אמריקה, אני יודע מה זה אמריקה, אמריקה זה לא שאפשר להזיז אותו בקלות.
That was the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu caught in a hot tape years ago, smugly bragging in a private conversation how easily it is to manipulate the US public. This tape reveals something about the nature of the US-Israel relationship, which is to say that Israel is the master of the US and Netanyahu might just be the king of the USA. Because how else can you explain the actions of the US government towards Israel? For a country that is balkanized on almost every issue from gun rights, abortion to reparations and welfare to have such a bipartisan loyalty to Israel in a way that serves the interests of Israel way more than it serves the interests of Americans supports my theory that the US is sort of a vassal state to Israel and Netanyahu is its true king. I mean, only a king can get away with what Netanyahu has gotten away with. Biden threatened to withhold arms transfer to Israel if it went ahead with the Rafah operation. Netanyahu ignored it and went into Rafah anyway and still got the backing of the US legislators. In 2015, the US Congress invited Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to address Congress on Iran without consulting President Barack Obama, where Netanyahu delivered a speech and was roundly uploaded 39 times like it was the fucking North Korea dictator. And everyone had to applaud on pain of death. Even US presidents don't get that sort of resounding ovation when making a speech.
It's the latest confrontation in a series of growing tension. Prime Minister Netanyahu's plans to address Congress on March 3rd, 2 weeks before the Israeli election, is causing new fractures in an already brittle relationship. The White House is furious with the Israeli leader for accepting House Speaker John Boehner's invitation.
Netanyahu to do something that is going to be seen as such a deliberate and really pretty egregious snub of President Obama, and to make you get a sense of really how, forgive me, wicked this whole thing is.
They think we don't pay any attention and we're just a bunch of complete morons, the United States citizens. Like we wouldn't pick up on what's happening here.
Over the years, comments from Netanyahu show just how much influence over American politics he has. US President Joe Biden has expressed his desire for a two-state solution, which Netanyahu opposes, and guess what? There is no two-state solution. Netanyahu has bragged about how he killed the Oslo Accord on video, stating he knows how to manipulate American public opinion. Joe Biden did not want Israel to invade Gaza or enter the Shifa hospital. Yet, against the express wishes of the United States, Israel did both, and Netanyahu boasted about how he defied US wishes. Now, one can argue that Israel is a sovereign country and doesn't need US approval, but the US has made it a point of foreign policy to punish sovereign states who go against its wishes by either withholding aid or imposing sanctions on them or both. But not only do they not do any of these in the case of Israel, they reward Israel for the defiance. So, for whatever reasons the US has for supporting Israel and bending over to its wishes, it's very clear who has the power in that relationship, and it's not the US.